Feminism is defined as the belief or advocacy of women's social, political, and economic rights, especially with regards to the equality of the sexes. In this art exhibition, we will present works of feminist artists and artists whose works were later used in feminist empowerment that contributed to the feminist movement in helping women, artists or not, make a better place for themselves. The exhibit is arranged chronologically to help emphasize the changes that were made as the feminist movement progressed. We begin with Edouard Monet's Olympia, made in 1865. This piece was shrouded in controversy caused not only by the nude display of a woman, but also because of the message the woman's gaze carried. In this piece, Manet shows a well-known French courtesan lounging in the nude, while her maid, who is a sign of the woman's wealth, appears to be bringing flowers from a suitor. She is shown confidently gazing into the audience's eye and is unashamed and even confident in herself, although she may have been considered lower class and is in the nude. Many critics interpreted the powerful display of nude women as a representation of intense feminist values. Next is Blessed Art Thou Among Women, created by Gertrude Casper. This piece is alluding to the feminist beliefs of the late 1890s, where most women during the time were seen as only homebodies. During the late 19th century, many women were confined to the household while the man worked. The image itself serves as awareness towards the issue and the fight for the empowerment of women to be recognized as more than just housewives and trophies. Following is the controversial oil painting The Woman of Avignon by Pablo Picasso, which portrays 5 women prostitutes. Picasso painted this piece originally as an observance painting from his past experience in a brothel, a piece that was not meant to empower women due to his patriarchal dislike and innate sexualization of women. But over time, this piece has been turned into a feminist empowerment, which is now seen as something to encourage women to be sexually open and confident. We then move to Frida Kahlo, who painted the 2 Fridas. This piece can be seen as her step towards self-empowerment and feminist ideals. The 2 Fridas can be seen as, from left to right, the old traditional Frida, who then transitions out of her country's traditional values and beliefs into a new and westernized Frida. These traditional values and beliefs of women only being good for being a loving and doting mother and wife are what Frida grew out of and abandoned, mostly due to her recent divorce at the time of the painting. The Frida on the right is the one that has evolved from her faithful wife and loving mother persona into a woman who looks to herself for her strength and empowerment. We then move to The Drowning Girl by Roy Lichtenstein. Women are often seen as sexualized in stereotypes in Lichtenstein works. In Drowning Girl, we see a woman who is crying and terribly upset while being swallowed by waves. Lichtenstein often depicts women as domestic figures who are expected to be submissive and complacent, and he labels them as melodramatic. Although this is what everyone thought of Lichtenstein in his work, he was a self-identified humanist even before feminism came around and believed that women should be entitled to equal pay and treatment in regards to their male counterparts, and ultimately thought women were more interesting and made better company than men. In Genital Panic by Valley Export, the artist displays herself as what many may say is associated with masculine etiquette. She depicts this with the use of wearing crotchless trousers and holding a gun. With her portrayal of this manner, she isn't giving in to what is the norm, which also shows how she has been one to empower the body as a woman. Export attempts to change how your actions or appearance are used to immediately categorize with a certain gender, hence emphasizing these stereotypical gender roles that have been widely dealt with. We then move into Scratching Both Walls at Once by Rebecca Horn, which is a piece meant to evoke a sense of consideration of our internal and external space. The body is often seen more as a sculpture-type entity in Horn's work. Scratching Both Walls at Once demonstrates to us that the body is not a unitary form, enabling her to extend it into the limits of the space she inhabits. In doing so, Horn effectively objectifies herself as an animated sculpture. The objectification and branching away from the body as a unitary form can be translated to the objectification of women and the way they're seen as more of something to look at than a valuable being. She turns herself into what she is seen as, a pretty sculpture. By pushing what is seen as the body's normal form, she is breaking the boundaries of what a woman is seen as and can represent herself as. Here we see still film 15 by Cindy Sherman. Sherman was a feminist photographer who went outside the boundaries of art to promote against people who viewed women in a derogatory way. In her work, she wanted viewers to reconsider their stereotypical views of women. To do this, she would stage herself in her own photographs in a recognizable costume or locale, reminiscent of a movie or TV show, in order to evoke the feeling of familiarity. This would then lead the viewer to impose their own story upon the woman in the photo, thus broadening what a woman could be by leaving her story up to the audience. The Dinner Party by Judy Chicago, comprised of 39 dinner plates made to resemble vaginas and another 919 tiles that were fabricated to represent honorable women that Chicago felt had been ignored and underrated within history and art. This piece stands out not only because of its feminist undertones, but also because of the materials Chicago decided to incorporate into it, choosing traditionally female mediums such as textile arts and china painting, opposed to more valued male art mediums such as wood or metal. This piece is a perfect example of feminist ideals in art because of its representation of powerful and meaningful yet overlooked women in history. Lastly, we see the piece by the Guerrilla Girls, Do Women Have to Be Naked to Get to the Metropolitan Museum? In the mid-1980s, the Guerrilla Girls created a way of having their statements not only heard but seen by all, to expose sexism on huge posters. This anonymous activist group made it clear that female inequality was not only wrong but needed to be changed, so why not start in the arts? To this day, they are still famously known for their humorous and shocking visuals and contribution to the feminist movement.